uh, what exactly, where are we in Panchadashi? Because suddenly I'm not starting a new class here. So now we are starting today. I'll give you the introduction for everyone. Today it will be a recap of what we have studied so far. We are starting today or tomorrow, that my beginning is 14th verse of 3rd chapter of Panchadashi. 14th verse of the 3rd chapter, called Panchakosha Viveka. Panchakosha Viveka, the 3rd chapter of Panchadashi. 14th verse, actually we have to start. So for the Noida people, those who have been listening here, attending to classes in the ashram, last class was held in March this year. Normally the classes are held here in the hall. Now, since March, there have been no classes either on Zoom, on Panchadashi, or in the ashram because of the COVID lockdown. So we did not conduct any class in the Noida ashram. This month, we have started classes with Atma Bodh. From 4th to 8th of August, we have conducted 5 days. And then now the Panchadashi classes, I am starting through Zoom, so that the continuity will be there. Obviously, in Zoom, some of you may have joined afresh to these classes. Therefore, where are we? What is Panchadashi? A little introduction has to be required, is to be given. So today we'll spend introduction, small one, small. And what is the content of the first 13 verses of the 3rd chapter of Panchadashi? That we will see today. So if you can conclude in 45 minutes the entire 13 shlokas essence, what exactly is the subject, then probably everybody who is on Zoom today will be able to catch up from tomorrow without any difficulty. So this is the plan. So now, what is Panchadashi? Panchadashi is called a Prakarana Grantha, a Vedantic, which describes Vedantic terminologies. Normally, Tattvabodha, Atma Bodha, Viveka Chudamani, they lay down the basic principles. But Panchadashi, although it is called as a Prakarana Grantha, this is to be studied preferably not next to Tattvabodha, Atma Bodha. This book is recommended, studied after the study of Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. So once we study Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, then we come to Panchadashi. This is a beautiful text to understand, to get tremendous clarity on the subject. So this is called, that's why it is called Manana Grantha, Mananam, reflection. Reflection is possible only after Shravanam, listening. So after hearing to the teacher, the Vedantic text, then you go to Panchadashi. That will make our understanding very firm in Panchadashi. So this is the simple introduction I gave you to Panchadashi. Now the question is, how many chapters are there in Panchadashi? So most of you know, there are 15 chapters, and the number of shlokas in 15 chapters put together is only 1500. Only 1500 It's a big number actually. So 1500 verses are there in this great text, divided into 15 chapters. And these 15 chapters are made into three parts. First part, second part, third part. First part is first 5 chapters. Second part is 6 to 10, second 5 chapters. And the third part is the last 5 chapters. This book was written by Vidyaranya Muni of 14th century. The great Mahatma he was, 11th century, and such a great person. Now I am not talking about Vidyaranya Muni. He was also a Shringeri, and he wrote many books, very deep spiritual texts he wrote. He is a well-read man, a great Mahatma. Now, first 5 chapters is called Tattva Viveka. We are in first 5 chapters only. The Prakarana, first Tattva Viveka, Tattva Prakarana, Tattva Viveka Prakarana. So these 5 chapters are called Tattva Viveka Prakarana. Second 5 chapters are called Deepa Prakarana, because the name will be Chitra Deepa, Trupti Deepa, Nataka Deepa, all those things. Such kind of a meanings are, but it's named like the Deepa Prakarana. And the last 5 is Ananda Prakarana, 11th to 15th chapters. Now, in the first chapter, what is analyzed is the consciousness in all the 3 states, that is waking, dream, and deep sleep state. The consciousness which is functioning through all these 3 states is one and the same. So, by discriminating through Viveka Buddhi, by bringing Viveka, discrimination, into study, that is study of this waking plane, dream plane, and deep sleep state, properly, as guided by Vidyaranya Muni in the text, one can understand and distinctly separate, know that there is consciousness which is totally distinct from these 3 states. So, how to recognize this consciousness which is distinct from these 3 states? By studying and properly discriminating these 3 states, waking, dream, and deep sleep state, is the subject matter of the first chapter of Panchadashi. That is called Tattva Viveka. Very good. Now, second chapter is called Panchabhuta Viveka. Panchabhuta Viveka. By analyzing, understanding, discriminating, meaning through Viveka, by separating, by studying, by looking into these 5 koshas, Panchamahabhutas, 5 great elements. What are they? Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala, and Prithvi. Space, air, fire, water, and earth. How these are all composed, how they came out from one from the other, and which is holding what, and all of them are existing. Existence is one. In the same existence, all these 5 are superimposed. So, by analyzing, as guided by Vidyaranya Muni in Panchadashi, he will take us through proper discrimination, and he will make us understand that there is supreme consciousness, that is you, your own self, you can discover by observing the five elements, by applying Viveka Buddhi in these five elements. That is the content and subject matter beautifully analyzed, how and where to find, how to find, etc. in the second chapter. Okay. Now the third chapter. The third chapter is called Panchakosha Viveka. What is it proposed in the beginning? The Acharya says that the truth or the Atman, the self, can be known through discrimination of Panchakoshas. What are the Panchakoshas? Sheaths. Kosha means sheath. The physical sheath, vital sheath, mental sheath, intellectual sheath, and causal sheath. Or in Sanskrit, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya koshas. So by proper discriminating of these Panchakoshas, one can arrive at the truth, the self, the Atman. This is the subject matter of the third chapter of the Panchadashi, called Panchakosha Viveka. Now, we will complete the first 13 slokas of the third chapter of Panchadashi. I have marked here, so we have completed. So we have to start today. Actually 14th verse or so, 14th verse. But we have to recap the 13 verses. Okay. The teacher says in the beginning, the first sloka, he says, Vidyaranya Muni says, this Brahman consciousness, which is hidden in the five sheaths, it is deeply hidden, secret. It is hidden in the five sheaths. If you can discriminate these five sheaths, you can know the Atman. That is the proposition in the beginning of this chapter. Then Vidyaranya Muni says, within the Sharira, which is Sukshmam, within the gross body, there is Pranamaya Sharira. Within means what? The inner is the support of the outer. So Pranamaya Sharira is the Atma of physical body. Atma means here support. So vital body is supporting the physical body, and vital body is within the physical body. Within is Sukshma in Artham. In meaning is, in Artham, in meaning is, it is Sukshma, meaning subtle, which we cannot see through our five sense organs. So Pranamaya Sharira. And within that prana is the mind. So mind within means what? More subtle, more vyapak. That's the meaning of within. Within means don't imagine the body in the body size, then Pranamaya is a smaller size, and then comes mind smaller. Within the mind, intellect still smaller, and then intellect ke andar Atma, small speck of it, a small spark. That is not the meaning here. Within means Adhar, support to the exterior. The interior is a support to the exterior. And it is Vyapakam, more Vyapak, more pervasive than the outer one. That's the meaning. So here, Prana, within the Prana is mind, meaning mind is more pervasive than Prana. And within the mind is intellect, Buddhi. So Buddhi is, intellect is more still Vyapak than the mind. Gurudev used to say, mind travels in the realms of known and intellect can travel, can visualize, can imagine the realms of unknown. That's the beautiful. Gurudev used to discriminate like that. Gurudev means Swami Chinmayananji. So, within the mind, what is there? Karta. Karta is intellect or Vijnanamaya Kosha. And within that Vijnanamaya Kosha, there is Bhokta, which is Anandamaya Kosha. So these koshas are played. Yes, so we are covered by these 5 sheets. Okay, I am subtler than all these 5. Therefore, more pervasive. Okay, now what is the discrimination? Why gross body is not Atma? It is said here. So gross body cannot be Atma. So we are analyzing now discrimination. Can this be Atma? What is Atma? Permanent, pure consciousness. It is what is Atma should be permanent, all pervasive. You look at the body. Body cannot be Atma. Body cannot be I. Atma means here I. I cannot be this body. Why? Vijayaramana says it is born out of food, grows in food, ultimately becomes food. Born out of food, eaten by father, it becomes semen, and then that is thrown into the mother's womb, and then mother carries it and adds her own food, and then it grows in food, and then comes out and lives on food, and when he becomes old and dies, and then he becomes food to the people around, to the beings around, animals or etc. etc. So everything is food only. So therefore, this cannot be Atma. So understood. Acha, body cannot be Atma. Body cannot be I. Okay. Now, moreover, Vijayananda gives another logic. Moreover, this body, what I am holding now, this body, was not existent in the previous life. This is a new body I got. So the previously existing body, that is gone. But I am there. And this body will go. And this won't exist in the next life also, when I take up another body. That means what? Since it was not, it is in the present appears to be. It is the appearing and it is only in the present. It won't exist afterwards in future life. Therefore, this body cannot be I or Atma. Very clear. Then he comes to Pranamaya Sharira. Pranamaya Sharira is not Atma. Why Pranamaya Sharira is not Atma? He says, Pranamaya Sharira, I said you what is Atma? Supports, inside supports. Pranamaya Sharira supports the physical body by supplying energy, by energizing every cell in our body. This Pranamaya Sharira is pumping energy. It's like a battery. So it is supporting, it is pumping energy, supporting the physical body by giving energy to it. And this cannot be Atma because Chetana Varjanat. It is because this Pranamaya Sharira cannot be the Atma because it is devoid of consciousness. It is Jadam. It is also insentient. And there are also changes in Pranamaya Sharira also. Sometimes energetic, sometimes weak, sometimes more energy, sometimes energy is not distributed in the body properly. Wherever the energy is not properly distributed, that part may become sick. So it's a dynamics, continuously moving, but there is no consciousness there. It's a matter. Okay? Therefore, Pranamaya Sharira cannot be the Atma. Okay, sir. Can mind be the Atma? Vijayaramana says. Manaha also cannot be Atma because It is full of desires. It is the mind is always, um, dissatisfied. It is not happy. It wants more and more and more and more. Mind never feels I am full. It's a full of modifications with thoughts such as I and mine, aham, mama, iti. So with these thoughts like I, this is mine, you, this is yours. So mind always speaks the language of division. And mind is subjected to modifications. Mind is full of desires, therefore it is subjected to modification. Such a mind cannot be the pure Atma, which is changeless, blissful, all pervading. So this cannot be Atma or I. Okay. Mind cannot be Atma. Then the question comes intellect, buddhi. I am repeating what has already been covered in the first 13 verses of the third chapter of Panchadashi, because we cannot directly jump into 14th verse. It will be too confusion. Because it's a long time we have closed the book, and after a long time we're opening the book now, Panchadashi. So we get confused. Where are we? That's why I'm recapitulating. And it is also benefiting the new people. So, intellect is not Atma. Buddhi cannot be Atma. Why? Why? Because what is intellect? Intellect is carrying the reflected consciousness. In the intellect, in the vritti, it carries the reflection of the pure consciousness. And this intellect, Vijayan Muni says, is available in waking state, but not available in deep sleep state. So this carries the reflection of consciousness, not original consciousness. It is the Chaitanatvam, what we see in Buddhi, is because of Pratibimba of the Shuddha Chaitanya. It's not the original consciousness. Number one. Number two, in deep sleep state, there is no Buddhi. That means sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. So how can that be Atma, which is something, sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. So Buddhi also cannot be Atma. That is carried. True, Mane, confirmed. Now what is left now? Anandamaya Kosha. What is Anandamaya Kosha? Vijayaramani says, some vritti, some thought, eka vritti, some thought. What happens to that thought? He says, when that you are experiencing the result of good deed, punya phala bhoga samaye, you have done some good punya karma, good deed. You got the result of that. So when you get the result of that punya karma, so some thought, when you are experiencing the result of the good deed, through thought only you experience. That thought becomes introverted. And that becomes introverted, and it gets the reflection because it is introverted thought and close to self, and it gets the reflection of that pure consciousness. In that condition, it is called Anandamaya Kosha. Okay. In waking plane also, you can experience Anandamaya Kosha. When there is a good that you did something good work you have done, punya karma. That punya karma bhoga samaye, bhoga kale. Then the thought becomes so, because when you are experiencing sukham, punya palam, result of the good deed, actually at that moment, if you observe, you are not aware of anything else. We revel in the thought. So that reveling in the thought is possible because that punya karma, the thought which is due to punya karma, phala, that thought has got that capacity to go nearer to the self, introverted. And since it has got the capacity to reflect the blissful self of Atma, that is Atma, blissful self, and that bliss is experienced in the vritti as a reflected joy, because no other thoughts are there. And that moment I am in Anandamaya Kosha. Okay. And this Anandamaya Kosha, after the experience is over, suppose some good experiences we experienced in waking plane. So after all those experiences are over, what will happen to Anandamaya Kosha? It becomes unmanifest in deep sleep. That becomes bliss sheath. Unmanifest it becomes. Now, Anandamaya Kosha is not Brahma because it is temporary. When some good thought comes, punya karma phala bhoge, I hope you understand little Sanskrit. Punya karma phala bhoga samaye, the thought becomes introverted, special, it gets closer to self, and the self reflects in it. Then it experiences the bliss, Anand. So that time we are in Anandamaya Kosha. So it is temporary. Sometimes it is there. It's a condition. So the conditions are created in the waking plane. Then only it manifests. In Papa Karma Phala Bhoga Samaye, mind becomes vikshipta. Mind becomes restless, agitated, away from self, and therefore sorrow, uneasiness, fear, restlessness. So this is temporary and impermanent, because sometimes that condition is in waking plane is temporary, created. It is impermanent with respect to when it goes from waking state to deep sleep state, becomes unmanifest. Therefore, this also cannot be called as Atma. So, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, koshas I cannot be. So, I, Atma, I, the self, the Brahman, the Atman, consciousness, cannot be these Pancha koshas. Okay. Now, somebody asked a question. If you remove all 5 koshas, what is that experience at all? Vital Sharira is not there, vital parameters are not observed, hunger, thirst, etc. Healthy, unhealthy, sickness, because of vital parameters are not there, vital body is not there, so you cannot experience that. Mind is removed, so Sukha Dukkham is not there. Intellect is not there, removed, therefore ideas and they are also not experienced. Anandamaya Kosha also removed, there is no Ananda Bhoga also. So when all 5 koshas are removed, since there is nothing left to experience, The student, there is nothing left to experience when all five koshas are removed. What is there now to experience? For this, the teacher says, that by which all these are experienced. That by which or because of which all these are experienced. I have body, I have pranamaya sharira, I have my mind, I have my intellect, I have my, what do you call, anandamaya kosha, ananda bhoga. That by, what is that by which you know, by you are knowing all these things? Who is knowing? How you are able to know? So that by which all these are experienced, who can deny that? He is asking. Who can deny that existence, Atman, because of which I am experiencing all the five? What is that which is knowing that mind is chanchal? What is that which is knowing the body is subjected to pain, sickness, and disease? Who is knowing all this? That is Atma. So you cannot say when five koshas are removed, there is nothing to experience. So that by which we are experiencing all these five, that is Atma. So that Atma I am unable to experience then. You say what is remaining is Atman. Friends, remember, please now focus from now onwards. It says when all five are removed, I am not experiencing Atma. I feel all shunya only. So, Vidyarana says, the Atman, the self, being the very nature of experience, it is the experience. It cannot be the object of experience. It cannot be known like a pot is known, like any object is known, or like an idea is known. It cannot be known like that. So this Atman can never be Jnaya Vastu, that which can be known as an object of experience. It is not possible at all. Therefore, it is unknowable in this sense. It is unknowable in this way. In which way? You cannot know it as an object of experience. Like Gurudev would say, you are seeing the stars through a telescope. Can you see yourself through telescope? Can the observer be seen through the telescope? Can the observer behind the telescope become the object of experience through telescope? It cannot be. Therefore, observer can never be the observed, cannot be observed. So, because in that Atman experience, there is no difference between the knower and the known. In other Vidya, there is a difference between Jnaya Vastu and the Jnata. I am the knower. I am knowing this table, the mouse here, computer here, book here. But when it comes to Atman, there is no bheda, difference as knower and the known. Therefore, it cannot be known as one would know any other object in the world. Can you see your own eye through eye? I can see everything. But can I see my eye with my own eye? Not possible. Okay. Now immediately the doubt comes. Okay, since self cannot be known, That means self can never be experienced. It cannot be known. That is the conclusion. You come to a conclusion. The teacher says, you can know, but not as an object of experience. You can know, but not as an object of experience. And you are already that. This is the problem with Vedantins. You confuse us sufficiently. On one side, you say it cannot be known. Does it mean that Atman can never be known? It is your own self. You are already that. But I am not knowing it. Therefore, here two types of knowing is there. Like Mahatma Ji, one gives a beautiful example. That, he gives an example. So don't stretch the example beyond a point. It's in a commissionerate office, municipal commissioner office. It's a big office. It seems there are hundreds of workers are there. Because so many laborers are there, and so everyone would report there perhaps every day morning. Example I'm giving, a master give example. So everybody, there are so many people are coming. Some are coming in different cars, some are coming in vehicles and bicycles, etc. Now you are seeing a person, every day he comes. You are seeing him daily, but you don't know who he is. Now here, you know him, but you don't know him. Very beautiful example he gave. So I know the person. Do you know him? If anybody asks, I know him. How you know him? I see him every day. Oh, very good. He comes by same car. He goes into the big administrative office of the municipal corporation office. But do you know who he is? I don't know. So what I don't know, what I know is that person I know, but I don't know that he himself is a municipal commissioner. One who is in charge of everything in the office. Why, in the entire department, the entire worker, the entire field of his work. He is a boss. Similarly, Vedanta says, all of us know that we are, I am. Everybody knows. But I am exclusively, I am actually untouched by these five koshas, and I am the all-pervading consciousness. I am blissful Atma. I am Nirlipta. All these things I don't know. So I know I am, I exist. So I know, but I don't know that I am the pure, infinite consciousness. That means with respect to me, like municipal commissioner person, he knows, but he doesn't know. Similarly, I know that I am, but I don't know this actual I am, the witnessing consciousness. What I think I am limited is actually infinite. That I don't know. So that understanding, that bodha, kaun karata hai? Ved karata hai. So Veda will come and tell us that you who is thinking you are a limited individual, in fact, you don't know who you really are, because you know that you are, but you don't know who you really are. So for that, Veda is required. So this means, how this Atma Tattva cannot be known as an object of experience. How I cannot know the Atma as an object, as a vastu. Like this mouse is there. I can know this mouse. Like that, I cannot know the Atma. Why? Why is that I'm unable to recognize that Atman as an object of experience? This is given from 14th shloka onwards through an example. So, how this Atma Tattva cannot be known as an object of experience, this is given through examples from shloka number 14, which we will see from tomorrow. So this is the introduction and what we have studied first 13 slokas. This example will be given now. How this Atma Tattva cannot be the object of experience. From that, he will take us to make us realize, to make us contemplate. As I told you, we all know that we are. I know that I am, but I don't know that I am, that infinite I am, but I know that this I am, this I am. I think I am, this I am. The master comes and tells, I said, you are not this I am, you are that I am. For which Shastra is required, Guru is required. So for tomorrow onwards, we will enter into the text. Thank you very much. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.